If you are over 60 and you keep waking up at 3 in the morning, night after night, don't be too quick to tell yourself, this is just what happens when you get older. Maybe your eyes suddenly open and your body doesn't feel ready to sleep anymore. Your mind becomes strangely alert. Your heart may be beating a little faster. Your legs may feel restless. And the harder you try to fall back asleep, the more awake you seem to become. After weeks or months of this, many seniors simply accept it. But what if your body is waking you for a reason? Because regularly waking during the early morning hours can sometimes be connected to changes happening inside your body. Your blood sugar may be shifting while you sleep. Your breathing may be interrupted without you realizing it. A hormone designed to wake you in the morning may be rising too early. Pain, inflammation, bladder changes, or even stress and emotions you barely notice during the day may become powerful enough to disturb your sleep at night. Something you routinely eat, drink, or do in the evening may seem completely harmless, yet it could be making the second half of your sleep much easier to disrupt. In this video, we're going to count down 7 possible reasons you keep waking up around 3 in the morning. And more importantly, what you can do about each one. Pay close attention as we move toward number 1, because it isn't a rare disease or some mysterious condition. It involves ordinary evening habits that millions of older adults repeat every day without realizing how much they may be affecting their sleep. I truly hope you can sleep peacefully through the night and wake up feeling refreshed again. So please stay with me until the end. Understanding these 7 causes may help you recognize what is disturbing your sleep and what you can begin changing tonight. Before we get started, tell me something in the comments. How old are you? And where are you watching from today? It's always wonderful to see how far this community reaches. If this is your first time watching our channel, consider subscribing. We're here to share simple, practical information to help you stay healthier and independent as you grow older. Reason number 7, your blood sugar may be dropping while you sleep. Have you ever woken up with your heart beating faster than usual, feeling slightly shaky, restless, or anxious? And within seconds, your mind was completely alert, even though you had been sleeping peacefully just moments earlier. For some older adults, one possible explanation is what is happening with blood sugar during the night. After dinner, your body breaks down carbohydrates into glucose. That glucose enters your bloodstream and provides energy for your cells. As the hours pass and you continue sleeping without eating, blood glucose naturally changes. Usually, your body manages this process without waking you. But under certain circumstances, particularly for people taking glucose-lowering medications, blood sugar can fall too low during the night. When that happens, your body has protective mechanisms designed to bring glucose back up by releasing hormones such as adrenaline and cortisol. And here's the problem. Those are not exactly sleep-friendly hormones. Adrenaline prepares your body for action. Your heart may beat faster. You might sweat or feel shaky. Cortisol helps mobilize energy and promotes alertness. So even though you're lying safely in bed at 3 a.m., your body may behave as though something requires your immediate attention. That's why some people describe these awakenings by saying, "I don't know what happened. I just woke up suddenly and felt anxious." The anxiety may not always be what woke you first. In some cases, the physical response may come before the feeling of anxiety. Your evening eating pattern can also matter. If dinner is very early, there is a longer period between your last meal and breakfast, and a dinner dominated by rapidly digested carbohydrates, such as sweets, refined bread, or other highly processed foods, may produce larger swings in glucose for some people. That doesn't mean everyone who wakes at 3 a.m. has low blood sugar. In people without diabetes, true overnight hypoglycemia is less common, so repeated awakenings should not automatically be blamed on glucose. But if you regularly wake feeling sweaty, shaky, hungry, confused, or with a racing heartbeat, it is worth paying attention to the pattern. One practical place to begin is with your evening meal. Instead of relying mainly on refined carbohydrates, aim for a more balanced dinner that includes protein, fiber, and healthy fats. For some people, a small balanced bedtime snack may also be appropriate. Something simple, such as a few nuts or another protein-containing option, may provide steadier energy than a sugary snack. But there is an important exception. If you have diabetes, or take insulin, or medication that lowers blood sugar, don't start changing your meal timing, snacks, or medication on your own. Nighttime hypoglycemia can be serious, and the safest approach is to discuss repeated symptoms with your doctor so the cause can be properly evaluated. And if blood sugar isn't what is waking you, the next reason can be even harder to recognize. Reason number 6. Your breathing may be interrupted while you sleep. You can go to bed at your normal time, sleep for 7 or 8 hours, and still wake up exhausted. You may even believe you slept through most of the night. But beneath the surface, your body may have been repeatedly fighting to keep you breathing. One common cause is obstructive sleep apnea. While you sleep, the muscles around your throat naturally relax. In some people, the tissues in the upper airway narrow or temporarily collapse, partially or completely blocking airflow. When this happens, oxygen levels can fall and carbon dioxide can rise. Your brain detects the disturbance and briefly pulls you out of deeper sleep so that the airway can reopen. You take another breath, settle back to sleep, and may remember absolutely nothing. Then it happens again. For some people, this cycle can repeat many times throughout the night, fragmenting sleep without producing an awakening they clearly remember. And because sleep tends to become lighter during portions of the second half of the night, these disruptions may sometimes become more noticeable in the early morning hours. You might suddenly wake around 2, 3, or 4, so 0 a.m. without understanding what pulled you out of sleep. Snoring is one of the best-known warning signs, but it isn't the only one. A spouse or family member may notice that you stop breathing for several seconds, and then suddenly gasp, choke, or snort. You may wake with a dry mouth because you've been breathing through your mouth during the night. Morning headaches can also occur. Another clue is waking after what seemed like a full night's sleep and still feeling as though you barely rested. You may feel sleepy during the day, doze off while watching television, or struggle with concentration. And here's a symptom: many people don't connect with breathing at all, getting up repeatedly to urinate during the night. Sleep apnea can contribute to nighttime urination in some people, so what appears to be only a bladder problem may sometimes have another factor behind it. This matters as we get older. Changes in airway anatomy and muscle tone, weight, alcohol use, certain medications, and other health conditions can all influence breathing during sleep. So if you snore heavily, wake up gasping, have witnessed pauses in breathing, experience persistent morning headaches, or remain exhausted despite spending enough time in bed, don't simply dismiss it as aging. Tell your doctor exactly what is happening. They may recommend a sleep study which monitors your breathing, oxygen levels, heart rate, and sleep patterns. Depending on your situation, some sleep studies can even be performed at home. Identifying sleep apnea matters not only because of poor sleep. Untreated sleep apnea is associated with several cardiovascular and metabolic health problems, so repeated warning signs deserve medical attention. If your breathing seems perfectly normal, yet you still wake up at almost the same time every night, pay attention to your first reaction. If your immediate thought is needing to use the bathroom, reason number 5 may explain much more than you realize. Reason number 5. Your bladder may be waking you up. If you are over 60, getting out of bed once or twice during the night to use the bathroom may feel so normal that you barely question it anymore. But nighttime urination, medically known as nocturia, can be more complicated than that. As we age, the body may become less effective at concentrating urine during the night. That means your kidneys may produce enough urine to fill your bladder sooner than they once did. But age is only one piece of the puzzle. Some medicines, particularly diuretics, used for conditions such as high blood pressure or fluid retention, increase urine production. If they are taken later in the day, their effects may continue into the evening or nighttime. This doesn't mean you should change the timing of any prescription medication yourself. But if you're waking repeatedly to urinate, it's worth asking your doctor whether medication timing could be contributing. Then there is something many older adults never consider: the swelling in their legs. Have you ever taken off your socks in the evening and noticed deep marks around your ankles? Or perhaps your feet and lower legs look slightly more swollen at night than they did in the morning. During the day, gravity can contribute to fluid collecting in the lower legs. Once you lie down at night, some of that fluid returns to your circulation. Your kidneys then have an opportunity to process it, which can increase urine production while you're sleeping. For some people, nighttime urination may also occur alongside conditions affecting the heart, circulation, kidneys, prostate, or other parts of the urinary system. That's one reason frequent nocturia shouldn't automatically be dismissed as just getting older. There are a few simple habits worth discussing with your healthcare provider. If you tend to have swelling in your legs, elevating them for about 20 to 30 minutes during the evening may help shift some fluid earlier. Before you go to bed, you can also look at when you drink your fluids. Try consuming more of your fluids earlier in the day and, if appropriate for your health needs, reducing how much you drink during the final 2 hours before bedtime. And pay attention to frequency. If you're regularly getting out of bed more than twice each night, or this is a new or worsening problem, mention it to your doctor. The same applies if nighttime urination comes with burning, pain, blood in the urine, unusual swelling, or shortness of breath. Sometimes a small adjustment can help. Other times, your bladder may be pointing towards something that deserves a closer look. But what if you wake at 3 a.m. and don't need the bathroom at all? Your eyes simply open, and suddenly your brain begins thinking about tomorrow, your health, your family, and everything that could go wrong. That brings us to reason number 4. Your cortisol may be rising at the wrong time. Nothing hurts. You don't need the bathroom. You aren't hungry. Yet the moment your eyes open, your mind seems to switch on. Suddenly, you're thinking about tomorrow's appointment, your health, your children, an unpaid bill, or a conversation from 3 days ago. Within minutes, you're completely awake. One possible piece of that puzzle involves your circadian rhythm, your body's internal 24-hour clock. This system helps coordinate when you feel sleepy and when you become alert. And one hormone involved in that daily rhythm is cortisol. Many people know cortisol simply as the stress hormone, but cortisol isn't bad. Your body needs it. Under normal circumstances, cortisol follows a daily pattern. Levels are generally lower during the early part of sleep and begin rising toward morning, helping prepare your body to wake up, become alert, and start the day. Think of it as a natural sunrise happening inside your body. The problem is that stress can interfere with this system. And after 60, stress doesn't always look like rushing to work or meeting deadlines. It may be persistent joint pain, inflammation that never quite settles, worry about medical test results, financial uncertainty, caring for a spouse, losing someone you loved, or the loneliness of spending more time by yourself than you once did. When stress becomes chronic, the body's stress response system can become disrupted. For some people, this may contribute to nighttime arousal and make sleep more fragile. Then, at 3 in the morning, your eyes suddenly open. Your mind begins searching for something to think about. You may feel restless or uneasy, even when nothing is actually wrong in that moment. And this creates another problem. You look at the clock and think, not again. If I don't fall asleep now, tomorrow is going to be terrible. That thought creates more tension. More tension makes sleep harder. And before you know it, you've spent an hour trying to force yourself back to sleep. So instead of focusing only on what happens at 3 a.m., pay attention to the hour before you go to bed. Create a simple wind-down routine that gives your brain the same message every evening. The day is finished. Dim the lights. Put away the phone or tablet if possible. Avoid filling the final minutes of your evening with upsetting news or stressful conversations. Then spend a few minutes breathing slowly and comfortably. And if your mind tends to carry tomorrow's problems into bed, keep a notebook nearby. Before you lie down, write down whatever is worrying you. appointments, tasks, fears, or things you need to remember. You're not solving those problems at night. You're simply telling your brain, I don't need to hold on to this until morning. Repeated consistently, these small habits can help create a calmer transition into sleep. Sometimes it isn't stress or racing thoughts waking you, but a mild physical issue. That brings us to reason number 3. Pain and inflammation may be quietly pulling you out of sleep. Many people assume that pain has to be severe before it can wake them at night. But that isn't always true. A stiff knee, a dull ache in the lower back, tightness across the shoulders, arthritic hands, an uncomfortable hip, or an irresistible urge to move the legs that seems to become worse the moment you lie still. During the day, you're walking around, preparing meals, talking to people, watching television, or simply thinking about other things. Your attention is constantly being pulled somewhere else. But at 3:00 in the morning, the situation is very different. The room is quiet. You're lying still. There is nothing competing for your attention. Suddenly, that small ache in your hip feels much harder to ignore. You roll onto your other side. Your shoulder becomes uncomfortable. You change position again. Your back feels stiff. Before long, you're awake enough to look at the clock. This is one reason chronic pain and poor sleep can become such a frustrating cycle. Pain can interrupt sleep, and inadequate sleep can make people more sensitive to pain the following day. Over time, each problem may begin reinforcing the other. Conditions such as arthritis can also produce stiffness and discomfort that interfere with finding a comfortable sleeping position. Restless leg syndrome is different, but it can create crawling, tingling, or uncomfortable sensations accompanied by a powerful urge to move the legs, particularly during periods of rest and in the evening. So what can you do? Start with something gentle. A few minutes of comfortable stretching before bed may help reduce stiffness and release some of the muscular tension you've carried through the day. Focus on areas that commonly become tight, such as your hips, lower back, calves, and shoulders. This should not be an intense workout. The goal is not to push through pain. The goal is to help your body settle. Next, look at your sleeping environment. A mattress that no longer supports your body properly, or a pillow that leaves your neck at an awkward angle, can make an existing problem more noticeable. Sometimes changing your sleeping position or adding appropriate support can reduce pressure on sensitive joints. And if you're already taking medication for chronic pain, don't change the dose or timing by yourself. Instead, tell your doctor that your pain is interrupting your sleep, especially if you repeatedly wake during the early morning hours. They can help determine whether your treatment needs to be reviewed and whether another condition may be contributing. Most importantly, don't accept persistent nighttime pain simply because you're older. Aging can bring changes to joints and muscles, but chronic pain that repeatedly steals your sleep deserves attention. You shouldn't have to spend every night moving from one uncomfortable position to another and assume there is nothing that can be done. And sometimes, nothing physically hurts. Yet every night, when the world becomes quiet, your mind returns to the same person, the same worry, or the same empty space in your life. That brings us to reason number 2. Anxiety, grief, or loneliness may be surfacing when the world becomes quiet. This may be the most personal reason on our list, because sometimes what wakes you at 3:00 in the morning isn't coming from your bladder, your joints, or your breathing. Sometimes it comes from what you've been carrying inside. During the day, it's easier to stay occupied. You make breakfast, clean the house, run errands, watch television, talk with family, or spend time outside. But at 3 a.m., those distractions disappear. And suddenly, thoughts that seemed manageable during the day can feel much heavier. Maybe you're worried about your health and wondering what the next doctor's appointment will bring. Maybe you worry about your savings lasting long enough. Maybe your children have their own lives and you don't want to bother them. Or perhaps the person who slept beside you for decades is no longer there. I once heard about a widower in his late 70s who began waking at almost exactly 3:00 every morning after his wife died during the day. He seemed to be coping remarkably well. He kept the house tidy. He bought his own groceries. He talked to neighbors and told his children that he was fine. But every night, his eyes opened to the empty side of the bed. He eventually realized was that nighttime was the only part of his day when he could no longer distract himself from his grief. He missed the small things most. The sound of her moving around the house, their conversations before bed, even the ordinary question, "What should we have for dinner tomorrow?" And grief isn't the only emotional weight older adults carry. There can also be loneliness, anxiety about becoming dependent on others, or the quiet fear of losing the independence you've worked your entire life to protect. These feelings don't mean you're weak. They mean something important in your life is asking for attention. If this sounds familiar, don't make your only strategy trying harder to sleep. Talk to someone you trust. A friend, a family member, a counselor, or a therapist can give those thoughts somewhere to go, besides your mind, at 3 in the morning. If talking feels difficult, keep a notebook beside your bed or write for a few minutes before bedtime. Put down what you're worried about, what you miss, or what has been weighing on you that day. You don't need to solve it. Sometimes, simply giving an emotion words can make it feel less overwhelming when the lights go out. And for that widower, speaking regularly with someone about his grief didn't erase the loss. But gradually, his nights became less dominated by it. Your emotional health and your sleep are not separate worlds. Caring for one can help support the other. And now we've reached reason number 1. Your evening habits may be quietly disrupting the way your sleep is structured. This is important because the problem may not be something happening at 3 a.m. It may be something you're doing at 7, 8, or 9 p.m. To understand why, you first need to understand something called sleep architecture. Sleep isn't one continuous state from the moment you close your eyes until morning. Throughout the night, your brain moves through repeating cycles that include lighter sleep, deeper sleep, and REM sleep, the stage strongly associated with dreaming. Earlier in the night, you generally spend more time in deep sleep. As morning approaches, deep sleep becomes less prominent while lighter sleep and REM periods become more common. That means the second half of your night is naturally easier to disrupt. So when 3 a.m. arrives, you may already be sleeping more lightly than you were several hours earlier. And something that wasn't strong enough to wake you at midnight may suddenly be enough to open your eyes. This is where seemingly harmless evening habits become important. Let's start with that relaxing cup of tea. Many people stop drinking coffee after lunch but have black tea or green tea after dinner without thinking twice about it. But both can contain caffeine, and caffeine doesn't disappear from your body the moment you finish your drink. Its effects can last for hours. Older adults may also clear caffeine more slowly, although this varies considerably from person to person. So that cup of tea you enjoyed in the late afternoon or evening could still be affecting your ability to stay asleep hours later. If you enjoy a warm drink at night, consider switching to a genuinely caffeine-free option. Then there is alcohol. A glass of wine or another alcoholic drink may make you feel sleepy and even help you fall asleep faster. But falling asleep quickly is not the same as sleeping well. Alcohol can fragment sleep later in the night, which means you may fall asleep comfortably and then find yourself wide awake several hours later. If you drink alcohol, pay attention to whether your 3:00 a.m. awakenings are more common on those nights. Reducing the amount or having it earlier may help, provided alcohol is safe for you based on your medications and health conditions. Next, look at your screens. Maybe your evening routine ends with the television. Or perhaps you take your phone or tablet to bed and tell yourself you'll check it for only 5 minutes. Light and mental stimulation late at night can delay the signals your brain associates with bedtime. And if the content itself is stressful, breaking news, arguments, upsetting stories, you're giving your brain even more reasons to remain alert. Your dinner matters too. A large meal shortly before lying down can leave your digestive system working hard when you're trying to rest. For some people, it can also worsen heartburn or reflux. making lighter sleep easier to interrupt. And don't forget the bedroom itself. A room that is too warm can make it harder for your body to maintain comfortable sleep. A slightly cooler, dark, quiet environment is generally more supportive of sleep. You don't have to throw away your television, stop enjoying dinner, or live by a complicated set of rules. Instead, examine the final 1 to 2 hours before bed. Could you move dinner a little earlier and keep late meals lighter? Could you choose a caffeine-free evening drink? Could you dim the lights, put your phone away earlier, and give your brain a quieter transition into sleep? Could you keep your bedroom comfortably cool? Try changing 1 or 2 things first, rather than everything at once. And this brings us to the most important point of the entire video. If you're repeatedly awake at 3 a.m., don't assume there must be one single cause. Your evening tea may be one piece. Your bladder may be another. Stress, pain, or breathing problems may also be contributing at the same time. If there is one thing I hope you remember tonight, it is this. Waking up at 3 in the morning is not something you should automatically accept simply because you're getting older. Your body may be asking for attention. For one person, the problem may involve blood sugar. For another, it may be interrupted breathing, nighttime urination, stress, chronic pain, grief, or an evening habit that has quietly been affecting sleep for years. And sometimes, 2 or 3 of these factors may be working together. You don't need to change everything tonight. Choose one thing that sounds familiar and start there. Maybe you move your evening tea earlier. Maybe you put the phone away before bed. Maybe you stretch gently, adjust when you drink water, or finally mention your snoring and repeated awakenings to your doctor. And if your sleep problems are persistent, worsening, or accompanied by symptoms that concern you, please speak with a healthcare professional rather than trying to solve everything alone. And if this video helped you, share it with another older adult who keeps waking in the middle of the night. Subscribe for more practical information about staying healthy after 60. Most importantly, take care of yourself, and I hope tonight brings you the peaceful, uninterrupted sleep you've been missing.